Mom. How are you?
I'm great.
Thanks for asking. How's the market doing for you?
Still very active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It's still very active.
Because I've been hearing kind of mixed signals, like some agents are saying that it's been slowing down for them a little bit. Their listings aren't getting as many showings.
I mean, that's true. But to give you an example, so it's a little bit slower this month starting at the beginning of the month. So that's July 1st. Last month I did 10 transactions.
Congrats.
So it was active.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know like what would be common, but it was active.
Did you see a trend in maybe the type of like buyers and sellers? Were they mainly first-time buyers or downsizers, or did you see kind of a pattern?
You know, honestly, it was a bit more challenging for some of my listings, if I'm right, because it's a little bit slower now. I guess that's the slowdown in the market, but I don't think it's cause for concern. I think it's that, you know, with everything opening up, people are really excited to see people again. And for some people that have had, you know, maybe their second vaccination now, they feel safer venturing out into the community. And perhaps their focus is not necessarily real estate for a bit. It's like, let's gather some joyful things and connect with people again.
Right.
So I don't think it's any cause for concern. It is a little bit quieter on the listing side, and I was a bit more buyer heavy.
I do have a question because this has come up on a couple of real estate group feeds on Facebook. And the question is, would you hold open houses again?
That is a great question. I'm not currently holding opens. I would again. I'm just not really doing it right now. Yeah.
Okay. Did you find that without doing the open houses, there were more qualified
I did.
leads coming through?
I mean, I still do. And that's why, so generally what I'll do is offer, I mean, yeah, we're going to show the property because that's the most important thing, right? And ideally the buyers would be qualified because sellers still don't want people in their home, you know, unless you're a serious buyer and they still have some COVID concerns. And I find that if on that first weekend where the listing's live, I do offer a few time slots or time blocks, I should say, where it's like a 2 or 3 hour increment. And I do the staggered showing back to back. And it's great because all of those people are pre-qualified. Most people will not take the time to go out right now if they're not, and if they're not serious.
Yeah. Good.
Is your team finding the same thing? And what has it been like transaction wise?
So our projects most of our projects are actually 10 units or 10 homes remaining or less. So that's been great. We've been able to maximize and optimize that momentum with pre-sales. So it's been wonderful. We are seeing our appointments less on the weekdays, I'd say. So they're still taking the time to make an appointment, but we're just seeing less of that. And it's okay. Like, I feel like the gates floods have opened and summer has started, which, you know, although we don't like to say August or summer slow, but I feel like everything came all at once. Like the stage 3 of everything opening up and everybody's just wants to go on vacation and they have vacation mode on their mind. So it's okay. Like, I feel like it's a great time to kind of breathe a little bit.
It's been a nice respite.
Your life and go at it again in September. So,
all right,
let's get started because this is a question that was asked by during our 1-year anniversary Q&A session, and it was really good. It was questions to ask before joining a team, and so I thought we would make this into a full segment episode because there's so much more to cover than our one sentence answer.
There
last time.
always is, isn't there? You could go real deep on these topics.
So, I think we're probably really good at answering these questions because I've been on a team. I've been an individual agent, and I've also run a team at the moment. And kind of let's go over what your life cycle was during your real estate career. Like, you were on your own first.
Yeah, I never joined a team in the beginning. I'm happy that I didn't. I was asked when I started to join a bunch of top producing teams. But I said no because I always knew that I wanted to create it myself. And if I was being really integrous with myself, I just didn't feel at the time that it was right to join somebody's team knowing that I wanted to create my own. I mean, it would have been great, right? Because I would have learned a lot faster, but it was scary being out there on my own. and you can't take that back. So I learned so much.
But now you're unstoppable. So,
oh, thank you. I wouldn't say that, but I appreciate that.
Well, a team does allow you to leverage like built-in brand, like you mentioned. You have to tap into, rather than tapping into your own sphere of influence, which you may have a small number of when you first start, but it allows you to get the guidance from the seniors on your team, and they will feed you leads, basically, right?
Well, let me ask you a question then, because you said it yourself. You joined a team, you were a solo agent, and now you're managing a team. Having all of those experiences, what have you enjoyed the most and why? Like which one?
I would say I'm a born leader.
Yes.
So leading the team is way more fun. I would say when I first started, I was working in developments. And when I first went into real estate in resale, I was on my own. And I would say I worked really, really hard. I worked really hard to get that momentum going. And I did quite well because I had already a few years in the development world of working with realtors and working with buyers. And so customer service and developing relationships was never an issue for me. And when I had a lot of questions, I felt like I had a lot of resources available to me. So I was always digging deep into making sure that I executed effectively and correctly. So the reason why I joined a team was to learn more. And I would say it can be lonely in this business as a solo agent. So I joined the team just to kind of have a little bit more fun.
What team was it back then?
Sky Real Estate.
Yes. I remember Sky Real Estate. That's right.
Yeah. And so just to give credit to the guys, because they helped me in my business, was Sue, Kevin, Keith, and Yoromoto.
Yeah, all lovely.
So they're
all lovely
three
realtors.
agents. They're still in the business, and we still, chat here and there. But I decided to go on my own and start my own business, start my own team, because I just knew that I needed to grow even more than that. Yeah. But I know there's benefits to all three situations, and you don't want to end up with a team that stifles your growth. But also, you really need to find a place where there's a good cultural fit too.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. So first and foremost, it's really important to remember, don't be afraid to ask questions before joining a team.
So what kinds of questions if people are considering joining a team, what kinds of questions would one ask? What do we think are good ideas for this?
So I know it's so true to sell yourself, because obviously people are asking you why should I have you on the team? The vice versa, you should be interviewing them. And so the questions that we should start off with is, what does a team structure look like? Right? And so my model for my team looks like this. I'm just going to be very transparent here, is I formed West One, and then there's 5 licensed agents on my team. And they all, when they joined, they had at least one year experience, at least. I have taken on a new agent before, but it does, what happens is there's a lot more time and dedication and mentorship. Of course,
there's so much to know and to learn as a new licensee.
Right. So when you are a new agent, do be aware that the senior, the team lead, may ask you how much experience you have on writing contracts, how much are you willing to learn. Ask them if they have a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach.
Explain more to the listeners about what that means. They might not know. Yeah.
So top-down is where it's more managerial style, where the leader is kind of calling the shots a little bit more. It's more structured. It's more about what the team leader wants for the business and for himself, versus bottom up. It's more of a collaborative approach, and it's for the betterment of the team and not just for the leader.
And not just in regards to production, right? It's also in regards to their lives and making sure that people feel successful so that they are successful.
Yeah, that's all about the mentorship portion of it. Also, one thing that you may want to consider before joining the team is, what is your personality versus the team leader's personality? Are you guys going to get along?
So I guess in your experience, since you have a variety of experience working with teams, has that ever been an issue for any of the teams that you've either been on, or has it been an issue on your team as the team leader?
I would say it's never like, I would never want someone to be like have the same personality traits as me. Like, I feel like there's strengths and weakness, like everybody has strengths and weaknesses.
Of course,
And
yeah.
so, I'm not saying that nobody else on the team can be a leader, but they're a leader in their own way. And at the end of the day, we are all independent contractors, but what we are moving forward with are the same values, the same customer service program. What I'm more mentioning is about, do you have the same values when it comes to dealing with relationships and dealing with customer service?
Right. So if someone was, if it was a core value of your team to offer really high customer service, like it is on mine, a bad fit would be somebody that's just very transactional and just wants the deal, because it's not consistent with, we're not aligned in terms of what we want to create for the long-term relationship.
Very
So
good.
good point. Good point.
And you did a test as well. I know you were hiring somebody on your team. And what was the test called?
Oh, you mean for Simon, for my assistant?
For Simon.
The Colby A.
Okay.
Yes.
And you recommend that before someone joining the team?
I mean, there's so many different personality tests. This one's not really a personality test. It's a cognitive abilities assessment. So what that does is, I guess there's a little bit of personality components on there, but it's more so monitoring energy levels for where someone would find the most fulfillment in that type of job, or for what's required of the job. So for example, on your pre-sale sites, would you say that somebody that you hire as a marketing coordinator is slightly different than somebody that you would have as an admin assistant?
Oh, absolutely.
Because both of those roles focus on slightly different things. And if you have a marketing coordinator in a role where it's just too dry in terms of, just the paperwork for admin, it just doesn't work as well. They don't feel as excited about their job. So that's why we did run Simon through the Colby A first.
Okay.
I should say something actually.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a buyer's agent. We're talking about teams. If any of you are listening and you're in the Metro Vancouver area or around there, reach out to me directly. Okay.
And ask these questions
and
mentioning to you right now. And we're going to put that in notes that we're going to advertise this for you.
Okay.
Another question is, obviously there's one thing that always comes up is, should I start working with a certain group of people first, a demographic or value graphic type of group of buyers and sellers, or do I find who I really gravitate to, and then
so you're like the chicken or the egg,
right? So does that team attract a specific target market or a demographic, and does it match yours? So for example, if you live in the Fraser Valley, and Fraser Valley, for those listeners that are out of the Greater Vancouver area, is anything east of Surrey, right?
Surrey.
Or past the bridge.
Yeah.
So if that area is more where you live, and probably best for sake of time, to save time driving around, maybe you want to work in your territory instead, versus finding a team that works in the Greater Vancouver area who specializes maybe on the West End or North Shore. Obviously that demographic is not suitable for you. Geographic location, demographic location, those are really important questions.
Yes, they are. So this is a great one too. We did ask Simon this before he joined our team. It was, he asked this and we had asked it back to him. What are the team's professional goals for the next 2 to 5 years, even, right? If you're looking for longevity.
Right.
I think that's a really important question.
Right. I think you want to be able to align yourself with a group that's always growing, or perhaps they're really steady and it may not be a right fit for you.
Yeah.
right? And so professionally and personally, what the goals are. Next question is, as a newbie or a person who wants to join a team, what are the team leader's expectations from you as far as transactions or volume of sales?
Such an important
kind of related
question.
to the professional question.
Yes. Yeah. I think it speaks to alignment of goals and it does set expectations ahead of time for sure.
Next one is, how does the arrangement look like when you decide to take a vacation and need coverage?
I'm laughing. Yeah, that's a great question. It's a great question.
So the way it works on my team is when someone goes away, or someone currently, Samantha, for example, is on maternity leave.
Oh, yeah. Congrats, Sam.
Yeah, we help her with showings. She's passed on some of her leads to us. And then she's kind of popping in once in a while to let us know how she's doing. By the way, I talked to her yesterday. So she's really missing working in the business. So she's kind of dabbling with some passive buyers, but yeah, when we're away on vacation or the weekends, we just pass the key on to some other team member and they help us with showings.
And then how does it work for the commission splits then when you do that?
Yeah, so that's determined prior to passing the lead on. So
it's different each time?
I think it depends on like if they're passing it on to me or if they're passing on to somebody that's kind of like the same.
Sure.
Lineup with them. Lineup, is that the right word?
The same experience.
Same level experience. So the typical, I would say, is giving that referee 25%.
Okay. I just went on vacation last week. It was pretty good. I had Angela show some properties for me. I gave her 50.
Okay.
But because it was more so she had to jump in really quickly because I couldn't be there physically. Yeah.
Okay. So what I would say is that you may have a scenario where maybe everybody's on salary plus bonuses and everybody, because everybody kind of does give or take the same amount of transactions each year, maybe you're kind of doing each other favors.
Yeah,
so you don't give anything.
That makes sense too, of course.
You don't give anything.
But I think as long as you're communicating about it beforehand and there's clear communication, and if one person can take a break here and there and then you're sharing that, then that's awesome because you have the coverage and you're still able to support the customer service.
I find I feel comfortable with is 25%.
I think that's fair.
Within the team of helping each other out. You're offering 50%?
No, I did in that scenario because I was like, I need you to do this right at this time.
Okay.
Can you do it? And so that was a bit stressful, right? So I sold it, obviously, but I gave her 50%.
Right. And it's so important to pass lead on within the team because the systems that you're using are the same. You're also speaking the same language. And also you're most likely marketing together as well. So that there's going to be familiar faces in the marketing collateral.
This is a really important question if you are looking to join a team. If you're asking the team leader if they have any plans to expand the team at some point, and if so, what does it look like?
So expanding meaning
larger team, more members. If so, what does that look like? Is it an assistant? Are they going to bring on additional team members, either by buyer's agent, listing coordinator, those kinds of things, marketing team, admin team, all of that?
And it's also really important to look at how long the team members have stayed on the team for.
Yeah.
So if there's always a circulation of new members like joining and then falling off of the team, or have they been on the team for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, it just shows how well the team has fit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one is, how does mentorship or training look like? So obviously as a new agent, or maybe someone who's seasoned, you're looking for more collaboration, you're looking for more training, maybe perhaps you're not technology inclined. And what does that look like? Are they going to help you bring in these tools into your business?
Yeah, to support you for sure.
And how often? So are they running meetings once a month? Are they having one-on-one meetings? Are you getting together with the team every so often. So how does that look like as well?
Yep, absolutely.
So I know that everyone is wanting to know answers or questions to this is commission splits. So never dance around the idea or the topic of money during your interviews, because the financial model is most likely the number one deciding factor on whether or not you want to join a team.
Yeah.
And
or life balance, but yeah.
That too. But I think number one is financial. How does
you need to know how much you're going to make in order to live,
and how much you have to split. And
exactly.
So know every detail before you sign it, and also have it in writing. What does the commission split look like? So is it a percentage that you're giving to the team? What does that percentage pay for? Does it pay for tools, CRMs, website marketing, photos, or the other structure is, do you get a salary base? And then for every deal that kind of runs through the team, or transaction that runs through the team, you're getting a bonus out of it. So regardless if you're involved in the deal or not, you're going to get a bonus.
And keep in mind too, so the issue of commissions and what the split looks like, it goes both ways, right? So how much you need to split with the team and how much you gain from the team.
Right. Yeah. So I would say the easiest way is doing like a Google Doc or Excel sheet in terms of how much you're giving to the team and what you get out of it, the value that you get out of it. And the other way around is how many leads they're giving you. So, which we're going to talk about later. But are you making enough? Could you have made that money on your own?
The opportunity cost of making it on your own.
Yeah.
Commission split.
Commission split.
If it's a family member or good friend.
Yeah. So I would say if it was for my team, if it's a good friend, like it regardless, that's still a transaction. If you're getting commission out of the transaction, we're going to collect a split from it.
Yeah.
But if it's like a family member, you're doing it for free, like for example, your mom and dad, and you're not charging them, then obviously if you're getting zero commission, my percentage will be zero as well.
I want to say something here. I've said this before. When I work for my parents, they do pay the full commission. Sounds crazy, right?
So say it again. They pay the full commission?
Yeah.
Can you explain that scenario? Okay.
Yeah. So when I represent my parents in real estate transactions, they pay me the full commission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're appointing you to represent them on the sell or buy, and you're getting the full commission, even on the list.
No, I mean, like, so if I had a team in place for that, I would still cut the team whatever the agreed upon percentage was because we were getting paid anyhow.
That's true. Okay. Makes sense. And so hopefully there's no squabbles within the family.
Nope, no squabbles.
Okay. If and when the leader decides to add more team members, how are the leads distributed?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, so at our office, we do it evenly. It's kind of like, we don't even base it on personality style or anything like that. It's just, it's very fair and it's dispersed in an even way.
I would say I'm pretty even as well. So most of my listings, I'm passing it like in rotation of my team members, but I also feel like certain team members are really good at certain things. So if I know that it's a client that really needs a lot of hand-holding, and I know this one person on the team would be better suited or fitted for their personality.
That makes sense.
Then I would definitely fit them in, because I obviously ultimately want them to have a great customer service experience with us.
Yeah.
And then also if there's like somebody more in the Tri-Cities area where Samantha lives, then I would give her that lead because she's more familiar with houses in that pocket.
Right.
You would, let's just say, for example, for my scenario, there's a lot of project marketing and multifamily projects that we do. So how does that commission split look like? If your team that you're joining does a lot of projects, how does that split look like? So in my scenario, what we do is the contract for the project is totally external and different from the commission splits in resale.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense.
So
is it then, I know of when I used to work on projects as well, it wasn't actually commission based. When you represent the developer through a marketing company. Like this would be your guys' scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so is it not commission-based, but just if you write the contract and it's sold that way, it's like the same amount each time?
So you have per unit.
Yeah.
Per door is what we call it. Per door flat rate.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think it depends on what I am able to negotiate on my service contract.
Yes.
And so it all depends on the volume of sales, the amount of time that we're going to be on that site. So sometimes it is a flat rate, and sometimes I give a percentage of what I make. So I think it varies, and there's no rule of thumb in this scenario.
Well, you do have to always base it on the numbers. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I would say, but anyways, point is that the contract is separate from the resale side. Another question, which most people, some brokerages have a commission cap. And so on a team scenario, is there a commission cap? Do you pay per lead, or is the commission split more favorable to you? So commission cap, can you explain what that means?
Sure. So it means if, like, let's say, for example, at a brokerage, you've sold X amount of homes, and then the brokerage caps you at like 30,000. I don't know, because we don't use a commission cap at ours. But let's say, for example, I actually don't know how to explain it then, because I've heard of different scenarios. The one I want to explain is where if the commission top was $30,000, and let's say, for example, you've exceeded that amount in commissions payable during the fiscal year, that you would no longer, after paying the brokerage the $30,000, have to contribute a commission split.
So another way to put it is, let's just say you start off in the year. So every fiscal year, it goes back to zero.
Yes.
So let's just say you pay 20% to the brokerage. I'm not going to name any brokerages, but there are certain brokerages that take a commission split. And let's just say you keep 70%, you keep 80% and the brokerage keeps 20%. So when you reach a cap of paying, let's just say $30,000 worth of commission, because you're paying 20% of your commission every time you get a paycheck. Once you hit $30,000, then you either go to zero of not paying the brokerage anything,
or a lesser fee,
or a lesser percentage. So maybe 20% goes down to 15. And then for the rest of that tier, for example, you pay 15%. And maybe that the next tier cap you pay is like from 30,000 to 50,000. So once you paid 50,000 to the brokerage, then maybe the next percentage decreases again.
It's hard because every brokerage is different. So they each have different things in place depending on the brokerage.
So relatively, I would say some team models also adopt the same program of a commission cap or a percentage downgrade. And I think it works really well because
it's motivation-based.
It's motivational based. But also, I think there are some static cost in the business, like my marketing and my bus benches and things that are kind of done on a monthly basis. And so I feel like, once they've paid their dues, then, it's a smooth riding from there, and they just can maximize their dollars for the year, their gross income.
Yeah. It's motivating to be able to keep more of the pie.
What is the commission split when you represent? So on both ends, what is the commission split when you represent a buyer? If it's your own lead, or if it's a lead that was passed on to you? That's one question that you should be asking the team leader.
Yeah. Now, when we're having these discussions, don't forget, there's always going to be a certain amount of value that you as the licensee, if you're joining a team, would be getting from that team. So I feel like we're talking a lot about commissions right now, but the first set of questions were probably the most important about alignment. And then, of course, yes, how they would be compensated. So don't forget, don't just focus on the numbers. It's also what you're getting in terms of mentorship and the company culture or team culture.
What we'll do, this is part 1, which is commission splits.
Okay.
Part 2 of this episode will be about marketing and cultural fit.
Okay.
So the commission split between you when you represent a buyer, let's just say, for example, I give my team a lead, and that will be 25 like to them, 75% to me.
On buyers or listings or both?
On a listing. So,
okay.
Sorry, this is representing a buyer.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I was going to say.
We're going to go to listing after. So representing a buyer, if I give them the lead and they help that lead, they get, my apologies, they get 50%.
Okay.
If it's their lead of a buyer and they work their own lead, then I get 25%.
Okay, this makes sense.
Yes,
I get the numbers.
Sorry, there's so many scenarios.
No, it's okay. I'm like, I was thinking originally, I'm like, I think you were explaining the other one.
The other way around. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so also on the other side of things, when it's a listing, if it's my listing and I give that listing for one of the agents to show for me, they're getting 25%. Okay. And then if it's their listing, but we handle all the marketing, I get 25%.
Okay. I have a question about that then. So with your commission splits, regardless of whether or not the referral comes from you or is received from a team member, and regardless of whether or not it's on the buyer side and listing side, once you refer your team, those clients, how involved are you in the transaction? So for example, let's say it's your buyer and or you also have a person that wants to list their home with you. You refer either of those out to the team. Are you then out of it, or are you still handling any of the negotiations? Because that's also important.
Very good question. So it depends on, I take it on the personality of the client.
Yeah.
So does the client need me to be present the whole time? So what happens is, as a team lead, and I'm passing on the lead, we create a group chat on WhatsApp.
We do that too.
And I'm literally on like hundreds of group chats. And it's okay. Like, I don't mind, but I want to make sure that if someone's on vacation or if there's an emergency, that I'm aware of what's happening. So that's the whole point of the beauty of hiring a team, by the way, when you're a buyer or seller. So I'm in this group chat, and in the background, I may not be obvious verbally in every conversation or every message, but let's just say, for example, there's a question and my team member is stumped on it, or maybe they're not answering like quick enough, then I'm going to jump in, or I'm going to go on the back end, directly text my team member the answer.
Do you know that we do the same thing?
The answer, and then they reply back, because I want them to be.
You want your client
like
to know that they are looked after.
Yes.
And for the main point of contact, if it's your team member, they need to be able to handle those questions to build the rapport, and the trust, and to make sure that the transaction goes well for your client.
Subconsciously, the client knows that I'm there.
Yeah.
But I may not always be in the chat. It speaks to leadership
too, right? Because you're making sure that things don't get missed.
Right, exactly. And so if there's any other questions, let's just say the team member has a question and then pops into our one-on-one feed, I know exactly what the topic's about.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome. And yeah, that's part of, being a mentor and kind of empowering them to grow on their own, is that they don't always need me, but I'm still available if something
I'm sure
goes
it feels
away.
very supportive for your team. So that's good.
And I'm willing to let go. I don't like to control the conversation. I like to have them answer the questions. So that's why I kind of go on the back end, tell them the answer, and then they're the one answering the question. Let's go back to, how many leads are you guaranteed per month? So that's one great question. As a newbie agent, if you don't have a lot of leads, how many leads are you guaranteed a month, and how are you going to get them? Are they coming from sources that maybe online? Have they determined how long it takes to close close the lead, whether it be 3 months or 6 months or a year. So those are, how are they getting the quality leads so that that you can get a source of income.
Right. Because depending on where the lead comes from, it can take longer.
Some can take longer. Some can be super quick. But I think one great question is, what's the source?
Yeah. Like online takes, I don't know, 3 to 6 months on average. It could be more depending on what they're trying to achieve.
And the percentage is very low on the closing ratio. So are you making calls from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in an office and then going out on the road? Or does the team have a lot of listings where you can actually hold open houses and gain more exposure face-to-face when you're holding open houses for them? Are they sending out newsletters? Are they sending out email blasts?
Or drip campaigns too.
How many followers do they have on their Instagram? And are they interactive? Are they getting leads from social media? Are they getting leads from sponsored ads? And realistically, how many leads can you actually handle in a week? So I know that the pipeline needs to be filled all the time, but if you have 20 active buyers, are you really going to be able to manage 20 buyers at the same time?
It is a lot. It certainly changes the time management for sure. And depends on the market too, right?
Yeah. An area. Are they looking for the same type of homes? Because if you have a client that's looking for a single family house around the 1.5 million and another type of client that's also looking for a 1.5 million, you may have conflict of interest and you may actually have to release one of the clients if they're interested in the same house.
Or you'd have to double recuse if they were still interested in the same house, because you would know that the other client's going to write through somebody else and you know their personal scenario.
Right.
Which makes
a
it
whole
difficult.
different conversation.
Yeah.
Now going to selling a listing.
Listing and selling.
So what is the commission split on helping with a listing?
25% generally.
So 25% to the person helping you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess it kind of depends though too, because for my business, I am very hands-on with most things still. I like that. I like being in kind of like Doris G. When we had her on, she does everything herself.
Great episode, by the way.
It was a great episode. Yeah. And also Selena and Danny.
Right. So
Selena Kai and Danny Chow.
Right. So they take care of their own leads. So they just have someone who's salaried and then they take care of their own leads where perhaps, their scale of their team is a much smaller. So if your team leader that you're interviewing is looking for someone who is let's just say a showing agent, what percentage are you getting from that? So like I mentioned, if it's a listing, I give my team 25% for being the showing agent. And also to answer your part 2 of the question, when it comes to negotiation, I think, again, it depends on the personality of the client. So sometimes I deal with the client myself and my team members don't even have the information or contact information for my clients. Sometimes I just hand them entirely over to talk with them directly with the negotiation. So I guess, again, it depends on how close you are with that relationship.
I think it does depend on the client too, because some people get offended if you don't handle it yourself. Other people, as long as you have made the proper introductions and you explain to them how it would work and that this person is qualified, then they're more than happy to work with them without you being hands-on involved. So that makes sense.
That's a good question. So at what point do you introduce your team member?
Right away. I mean, if it's a listing.
In person or?
So what we do is we do 2 different things. If it's a buying client, we actually do a buyer's intake interview. And we also have a buyer's home visioning sheet where they actually are required to fill it out before we start working together. Because some buyers, when they come to you and they know exactly what they want, which is great. Right?
Yeah.
Others know that they want to get into the market possibly, but they're not really sure about the process. So the visioning worksheet actually helps them clarify this.
Yeah.
And then we can have intelligent conversations surrounding the form that they've already filled out. We normally book, because it was during COVID, we used to do this in person. However, we've been doing a lot more things virtual and electronic. Warren and I will have a meeting with the buyer over Zoom. normally takes 30 minutes, where we kind of clarify their motivations, what they're looking for, their expectations, and we walk them through what we do to help. After that, a buyer's agency contract is signed. Do you guys use buyer agency contracts or not really?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to the habit of having that conversation. But I also work on that philosophy. It's like, if you don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with you either.
Oh, we've released people before from that's not the purpose of the contract.
Yes,
it's more so that they understand what it is that we provide to them, which I think is also, it's important to clarify the value and expectations right up front.
And guys, that's a really good habit. So listen to Toni. Don't listen to me.
I want to say though something important, because we don't use those contracts to try and, some people in real estate, realtors like, oh, I don't do that. It's not to trap clients. Like if you don't want to work with us, or if it's not a good fit, we release clients because it's not worth the time and the effort and the stagnant energy. Right.
So a better approach, if you want to use it, is agreement or promise to deliver as an agent. Okay. So back on track here. And one question you want to ask, because you are doing the interview, how many listings were completed outside the Vancouver area or in the Vancouver area? And ask specifically, how the leads are given to you? Like, are you given by territory? Are you given by maybe personality traits? How I would say they completed on their deals, like how many were completed in the past?
Yeah, those are great questions to ask.
Who owns the lead after the transaction is complete?
I made a note there here too. Who owns it?
On my team, if it's my lead, it would be like my personal lead. It would be still mine. Like they're still on my database. Yeah. Because they're just doing the showings. Right. But if it's a new lead that was given to me, like a referral, and I had nothing to do with that new lead, then it's it's going to be in their database.
Yeah. I agree with that too.
Okay. Awesome. And final question is, what is covered under the split?
It's a fair question.
Actually, let's leave that for part 2.
Okay.
But so in summary, what's really important is how the team is structured, what the business philosophy and values are, and the commission splits are. These are some really important questions you want to be able to tap into. It's a big commitment, which kind of really forecasts your entire growth trajectory of your career. So while it's true that you are selling yourself in these interviews, it's really important to interview them as well, because you want a really good fit. So part 2, we're going to chat about the marketing and about the cultural fit.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.